Hi, this is Jen, and I hope you like this short video on pruning. These are some of the things I do in my garden, some of the things that have helped me in my space, and I hope you enjoy watching it. Last year, I planted a food forest in my backyard, and one thing we did was plant a bunch of fruit trees, and I had to learn how to prune them because I wanted them to stay small and produce a bunch, and I also wanted easy harvest. I wanted to be able to reach to the top of the tree and harvest. So I learned how to prune fruit trees. And I would love to share my tips and tricks with you guys. I watched tons of YouTube videos and I did read this awesome book that helped out a bunch, and I would highly recommend it. So there are lots of ways to trim trees. I want to tell you my journey. And so what I like to do is I trim my pip trees, which are apples and pears, things with a small seed and lots of fruit, like a Christmas tree with a central leader. And here's an example of an old tree and a young tree. Second kind of pruning I do is for stone fruit, which are peaches, pears, apricots, and you're going to want to think of a hand holding a ball or training your branches to look like it has a bowl in the center. So here's an example of an old tree and a young tree, just to kind of give you an idea of the shape of what I'm talking about. So before we even begin pruning, we're going to make sure that our graft line is above the soil. So most fruit trees are grafted onto a rootstock, and you're going to want to make sure that little bump is above the soil. A rule of thumb that I use in trimming my trees is to leave only 3 to 5 main branches. Another thing I like to do is trim the central leader branch, even in the pip trees, because as you can tell with this diagram, a new central leader branch will grow and it helps the tree to stay small, which is something that I need for my garden. When you're looking at your tree and you see a branch or a bud that's growing straight up, that's a clear sign that you're going to need to trim that branch. We're going to want the center of our tree to grab as much sunlight as possible to make that yummy fruit. If you have 2 branches growing in the same direction, you're going to want to choose one branch to trim. So when I said 3 to 5 branches, you're going to want those branches all equally spaced out. All right, now let's go back to shape. So for pears and apples, I'm going to be pruning with a central leader going up. Here's an apple tree that I've just pruned, and I am chopping and dropping. So that means that any branch that I've pruned off, I'm just chopping into little pieces and placing at the bottom or the base of the tree. And that brings so much nutrition to the tree. So basically everything that the tree is neglecting in nutrition, these branches will provide it later on. For all of my stone fruit trees, I'm going to be pruning like a bowl, which I think is a lot of fun to kind of sculpt with all the branches. It's not very difficult at all. So you're going to want to look at each branch and decide whether or not you like the direction that it's going in. You are going to want to cut the branches back to promote growth each year. Okay, so here I've chosen a branch and I've cut that branch at an angle. I've chosen a bud that I like the direction that it's headed in. And you see last year I chopped this branch, and now this bud or branch is heading in this direction, which I like. Last year I cut this branch, and this is the new bud growth. As you see, it's going out in the direction that I like and desire. Here is last year again. I've trimmed, and it's heading out into a bowl-like shape. So I hope you like this video. Go do your research, get on YouTube, read a few books. I hope this gives you confidence to go out and either buy a fruit tree or go trim that fruit tree that you have in your yard. And if you like this video, like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.